All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Outspoken Samantha. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button while you are here. So today we're diving into the latest circus act from the progressive left, and that would be focusing on Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She has been lighting up social media lately, well, for the last few months, and the way she is bringing attention to herself is not in a good way, at least to anybody with a speck of sanity. With a lot of her recent comments having, of course, conservatives shaking their head, but even some liberals are going, WTF. I mean, for the longest time, AOC has carried the title as being the least intelligent member of Congress, and she frequently provides meme material with her nonsensical takes and her clear lack of understanding about pretty much everything. However, I think that she might be passing the torch on to Jasmine Crockett. Now, maybe this is a game plan to have someone else take the heat so that AOC can look more serious as she approaches a potential run for presidency, but maybe that's also giving these guys too much credit. I'm just trying to come up with a reasonable explanation about why Democrats keep letting Jasmine Crockett book interviews and put herself out there as a representative of their party. Because if this is who you want people to look to as someone that accurately stands for the Democrat movement, I think it's safe to say that you're going to run a risk of never winning another election ever again. Jasmine Crockett is insane. From mocking a disabled governor to ranting about white men and illegal immigrants, Crockett is out here giving everybody a masterclass in hypocrisy and tone deafness. So let's get into what has been going on lately, and then we'll go back a little bit further in time to find some of her more infamous moments. So this is the moment that kicked off the most recent firestorm, where at a human rights campaign event in Los Angeles, Crockett said, and I quote, "Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down here," talking about Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who's been in a wheelchair since a tree fell on him at age 26, paralyzing him from the waist down.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Super classy. Now, just imagine for a second if a Republican said something like that about, say, a disabled Democrat, like when Democrats went on for years and years about Trump supposedly making fun of a disabled reporter.
New York, he appeared to mock a reporter with a disability. Take a look.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
That reporter he is talking about is Serge Kovaleski, who now works for the New York Times. As you can see right there, he suffers from a chronic condition that impairs movement of his arms. A Times spokesman says they find it outrageous that Trump would ridicule the man's appearance.
Now, the idea that Trump was mocking a man with a disability was something that has been debunked several times because Trump wasn't even aware of this man's condition. Also, this was a mannerism that Trump had used several times to mock other people in the past. I believe that Ted Cruz was even one of them. Now, is it funny? No. But was he making fun of a disabled person? No. But apparently Jasmine Crockett can make fun of somebody in a wheelchair. And because she's a progressive darling, the outrage from the same people who criticized Trump for doing this, calling it disgusting and unacceptable from a public representative, well, that outrage is obviously non-existent. And not only that, because Jasmine has a response to justify her actions, this is also going to be used by the progressive left to say that what she did was perfectly fine. She says, "I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by Black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. Literally, the next line I said was that he was a hot A mess, referencing his terrible policies. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition. So I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. Now, we know that anytime this comes up in the future, Democrats are going to be like, that's not what she was talking about. She was clearly talking about modes of transportation that Governor Abbott used to get rid of illegal immigrants in his state. But anybody with any kind of common sense knows that she was absolutely referring to Governor Abbott being in a wheelchair. But people on X were absolutely not having it. They called it out for what it was. This one says, Justin, Representative Jasmine Crockett blasts Trump supporters for misinterpreting what she said when she referred to Governor Greg Abbott as Governor Hot Wheels. Crockett says she is appalled that people think she's referring to his wheelchair. LMAO, next level gaslighting. This post is by Scott Pressler. He says, I don't use this word often, but Jasmine Crockett truly is wicked. To call Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels is cruel, contemptible, and speaks to your lack of character. A tree fell on Abbott when he was 26 years old, paralyzing him from the waist down. His loving wife stayed by his side, and they have a lovely adopted daughter. If Jasmine Crockett represents the Democrat Party, I want nothing to do with Democrats. Despicable. And I agree that making comments like this are in poor taste. They're not really funny. But at the same time, I'm not as offended by what she says as I am just trying to point out the consistent level of hypocrisy that we see from the left. They tried to elevate a story that's been debunked several times to justify somebody from their own party doing exactly the same thing. And of course, they're going to accept her explanation, whereas, as we told them numerous times with Trump, this was a mannerism that he used several times regarding other people. But let's move on. Let's rewind to November of 2024 when Crockett lost it during a House debate over the dismantling of the DEI Act. And she yelled, and I think I'm paraphrasing here, white men have never been oppressed in this country. They weren't forced to come here. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
Oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
So she's basically saying that white guys have had it too easy to have the right to complain about anything. This woman is clearly driven by hostility, anger, and racism. Responding to one of Jasmine Crockett's many interviews where she goes off about white people, this guy, Torsten Prochnow, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that, says Jasmine Crockett's comments are not only offensive, they expose the deep-seated racial hostility that the left claims to oppose but actively promotes. Imagine if a Republican had said anything remotely similar about another racial group. The media would be in full meltdown mode, calling for resignations and denouncing white supremacy. But when a Democrat openly spews hatred toward white people, the establishment shrugs. This is the reality of modern leftist politics. Everything is about race, division, and power. DEI has become a weaponized ideology that justifies open discrimination under the guise of equity. Crockett's remarks aren't an isolated incident. They reflect the mainstream view of the Democratic Party, where demonizing white people is not just accepted, but encouraged. Meanwhile, it does seem like Jasmine Crockett is consistently trying to sell us this idea that she's an authentic person and she's just trying to bring her real life experiences to the forefront and to her involvement in government. And this is an interview that she gave to Vanity Fair, which says Jasmine Crockett on her old as colleagues, The White Woman Vote and More 2024 insights. Apparently, a lot of her insights just include shouting about history lessons that she clearly didn't take. Because newsflash, Jasmine, plenty of people of all colors, white, black, and otherwise, came here under duress. I mean, have you ever heard of indentured servitude? Did they not teach you about that in the several exclusive private schools that you attended? Speaking of which, this is her latest gem from March 2025, where she says we need illegal immigrants to pick our crops and clean our hotel rooms because educated Americans won't do it.
Are sending your kids to college to go and work on them. Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
That you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the hotels? How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because that's what we do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are planning to send your kids to college so that they can then go and build these houses? So the reality is that so long as we live in a capitalist society, there's always going to be someone or a group of people that will do work that some of the rest of y'all don't want to do.
Mind you, this is the same party that claims to champion workers' rights. Yet here's Jasmine Crockett basically saying, let's keep the borders open so that we can have cheap labor. Look, if you're cool with exploiting people who broke the law to get here so that you can pay them under the table and make it difficult for them to report poor working conditions so that you elite class don't have to touch the dirty work, that's fine, but don't call it compassion. Just call it slave labor. Call it what it is. Jasmine Crockett is clearly a walking contradiction. She mocks the disabled governor while preaching about human rights, railing against white privilege while blatantly ignoring history, and pushing for illegal labor while claiming moral superiority. She's not a serious lawmaker. She is just a performance artist with a gavel. And the last thing I will say, as much as Democrats scream about representation, it's clear that that only applies to what the person looks like. It does not matter who they are as a person or the atrocious things that come out of their mouths. There are plenty of people on X who are calling her out, saying she does not represent the Black community and that she is damaging the progress that Black women especially have made in America. I mean, she could get out there and represent herself as articulate and educated. She's done it before.
Well, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real.
She's intentionally opting for the hood rat representative version of herself instead. The fact that the lesser intelligent sounding individual who repeatedly calls for violence and endorses the slave labor of people from other countries in America is who the Democrats are looking to as their current rising star. It says everything that we need to know, and it's absolutely fitting. But I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. I would love to have you back. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.